swinging a drive, right field and deep. That goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
You are listening to the Fly the W podcast. It is season number 4. It's episode number 28. Our Cubs lose a little momentum against the Giants, but we'll get to the but in a minute. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe. Most importantly, review our podcast. Follow on all the socials. I'm at Mully Haw on X.
And you can follow me, Crawly, on Crawly's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawly's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. You can email us with any of your questions at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. And I know I don't want to bury the lead on this, Dustin. What everybody's tuning in for is the Pope a Cubs fan?
Well, there's a little mixed reporting on that. Now, I have not checked X in a few minutes, but since this is a live podcast and we're going there first, I will check right now, going to the official Cubs account. Let's see if they took their tweet down because, hey, Cub fans, he's a Cub fan. This was 2 hours ago, still there on the marquee. I'm not going to retweet it on the Mully and Haw account, but it is there. Because his brother, who is also a member of the Cloth, said that he is in fact a Sox fan, but said that he would not cheer against the Cubs, but is a Sox fan because he grew up on the South Side.
The only question I have is can Leo pitch in the bullpen? That's the only thing that matters to me at this point in time.
Can he play third base? Which is the bigger issue, Crawly? Is it the bullpen or is it third base? I mean, can he do both? Is he a unicorn? Can he lay his hands on Matt Shaw's bat and make him be able to hit?
Oh, we're going to hell for this. But, speaking of hell, I got to tell you, it was a crazy series, Cubs versus Giants. And, again, I'm not going to get mad. They didn't lose to a bad team. But, boy, Dustin, I really kind of felt they had it, and then they let it go, and then they lost all momentum.
Yeah, that series was really rough. I guess maybe it's a good thing or maybe it's a bad thing. We did not do this yesterday afternoon around this time because I was really ticked off. I don't know if you got to hear me this morning on our Pick 6 segment where Mully and Haw queued me up to go after everything and all of it. That's what's wrong with the Cubs right now. Everything and all of it. And we had to have Zach Zaidman, who I love dearly and respect a ton, come on with us the other day and said, you can't treat Cubs games like you would treat a Bears game. The hell I can't. Don't tell me how I can fan. Just because there are 162 of these and only 17 of those, don't tell me I can't fan the same way.
Well, I think what Zach concerned about is you having a stroke or something because it's not healthy to go through 162 games living and dying every game. You can be frustrated and you can be mad. When you're talking about a Bears game, right? You have a win or a loss, and then you have a week to stew about it and think it and pick it over and dissect it.
Right. You're right. But in this case, Crawly, after game number 2, you thought you had a chance to get the bad taste out of your mouth. You didn't, and now I got to sit here today and stew and get some good news about Cade Horton. We'll get to that later. It's Cade Horton Day on the Mully the podcast right now. But come on, man. I mean, this is just very frustrating. I know they're not. I mean, I should be thrilled. They're in first place. They have a 3-game lead. It's early May. Everybody thought the Cubs might be 500 by the time we got to May 1st. I should be happy, but just in the moment, I'm a little bit disappointed.
Again, it's because of how this plays out. And you knew that after the first game, right? The Cubs win this one 9-2. But after that first game, you have to say to yourself, okay, you just got to win one more to take the series. You had it right in your hands and you let it go. And that's where the stewing happens. Mm-hmm. And then they didn't do anything there. But again, the Giants are a good team. If they were
very good team.
If they were in any other division, they would be in first place. And they're stuck in the NL West. Right. And so that's the issue right now. It was some early home runs when it was Matt Boyd versus Landon Raup. Cubs struck first, bottom of the third. Dansby Swanson doubled, and Ian Happ would hit a 2-run homer to put the Cubs up 2-0. But that wouldn't last too long. Top of the fourth, Luis Matos answered with a 2-run blast of his own. But Dustin, one of the interesting things about this game and just about this Cubs team in general is the speed of this team, and especially PCA. Here's some clips about Pete's speed.
Yeah, I mean, I think we took advantage of some mistakes tonight, but we also put some pressure on them. I thought with base running, some base running moments. And then just kept kind of moving the line and ended up with a big number on the board.
How much do you think Pete Armstrong's speed played a role in a couple of those areas? It seemed like I think Pete's base running had something to do with it for sure. Absolutely. That's what speed does. It speeds the defender up.
I think give him credit, in that moment, to not take it for granted either, right? To still get down the line, and force them into making a mistake. I mean, a guy like Chapman obviously doesn't make many, but applying pressure, you just never know what can happen. And he obviously did that, and that led to a big inning for us, which is huge. Him not taking that for granted. But I mean, at any point you can put pressure on the defense, that's a good thing.
So, I love when Counsell said speed speeds up the defense, right? And so when PCA's running, it just throws everything off. And again, I've said how many times this guy reminds me of Javi Baez, right? Mm-hmm. He just gives the opposing defense the jitters. Bottom of the fourth, right? 2 outs. PCA reaches on an error by Gold Glove third baseman Matt Chapman. And that was a clip you also heard Dansby saying, Chapman doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Nico would single and steal second. With runners at second, third, Dansby would have a 2-out, 2-run single to put the Cubs back up 4-2. And then the game blew open in the bottom of the sixth. Carson Kelly led off with a solo home run, his ace. Then again, PCA singled, and he's on first base. Nico singles, and he hits one to Willie Adames. Adames knows PCA is hustling. He rushes the throw. It goes to right field. PCA ends up on third and Nico at second. Then Dansby Swanson reaches an error on Matt Chapman. And if you listen to the San Fran broadcast, they're just stunned. 4 errors by the Giants that night.
Yeah, that's not characteristic at all.
No, and 2 by Matt Chapman, one of the best third basemen in the game. And with the bases loaded, Nicky Lopez draws a walk. Ian Happ with a sac fly. Kyle Tucker walks to load the bases. Seo would single to add 2 more runs, and the Cubs win this one 9-2. Cubs scored 9 runs on 9 hits. Dustin, that was, again, though, that speed that sped everything up, and these guys were just throwing the ball all over the place, but Pete was really behind 2 of them.
Yeah, he definitely puts people on tilt, basically gets on base, and it counts for 2.
Now, MVPs, I had to go with Matt Boyd. He had a quality start. He gave up 2 runs in 6 innings of work against a very good San Francisco team. Dansby Swanson kept up his hot streak. Dustin, he was 3 for 4. He also had that big 2 RBIs, 2-out, 2 RBI performance. And when you think about it, I mean, he has turned it around. And they asked Dansby about that after the game.
Ever since Nicky Lopez got here, he gives me like a little quick swig of his Red Bull. And I don't ever drink Red Bull, ever. But I said one day, I was like, you know what? Sure. And that's been the difference. I think it started maybe in Pittsburgh. So, but I mean, realistically, a lot of it has just come down to really trusting in a good process again, trusting in stuff I'm doing pregame and getting ready for the game. So give a lot of credit to the hitting guys, just kind of keeping me locked in and getting me to a good place to have good at bats and do what I can to help us win. Most of us, whenever we feel like there's always a why.
It's really interesting because he was one of the coldest hitters, Dustin. Every time we talked about Dansby Swanson in the month of April, one of the worst hitters that the Cubs had. It was just absolutely awful. And then to see him turn it around since the Pittsburgh series, to me, has just been kind of unbelievable.
Yep, no doubt. You nailed it. Yep, no doubt.
And I was just looking, at Dansby and just how he was literally hitting in the hundreds. It was just, he just couldn't get a hit. And now he's one of the hottest Cubs hitters right now.
Yeah. Red hot, smoking hot. I mean, no doubt about it.
With the GOATs, I took a look at, Kyle Tucker was 0 for 4 with the walk. Michael Busch 0 for 3 for a walk, but you can't complain when you get 9 runs, right?
No. I mean, listen,
Now,
anytime you get 9 runs, Crawly, you should definitely win that ball game, right? I mean, it's very rare
100%.
if you get 9, right? So no, yeah, MVP Matt Boyd, no doubt about it. Yeah, Dansby Swanson's been hot, and I think maybe he's settling into that part of the lineup. I know that you typically wouldn't want to spend the kind of do-re-mi that Swanson's getting, but you'll take it at that spot, so it's okay.
Right. Now that takes us to game 2. I went to game 2, Dustin.
You went to game number 2.
Yes. And I didn't get any sleep because I was home. I was stewing in my juices when I got home. I couldn't fall asleep. It was awful. Colin Ray versus Justin Verlander. I took a look at some of my old pictures. I was there when Justin Verlander made a start against the Cubs for the first time in 2006.
Wow.
And so this is literally 19 years apart from the last time I saw Justin Verlander.
Crawly, speaking of that just got me thinking. And again, this is live, so we're thinking out loud. And last week you showed everybody, if you missed it, go back and go through the archives, an unbelievable piece as we celebrated the Kerry Wood anniversary of his 20K performance. I know it's different now because there's no more paper tickets. And I bet that bugs you as a collector. I mean, have you kept a good amount of ticket stubs over the years?
I have all my stubs from like 2003 on. I lost a couple in a move, but yeah, I keep them.
Nice. Very cool.
So I have a lot of great stubs over the past. And so that's one that was exciting.
Have you started getting guys to sign stubs by chance?
No, not too much.
Like if somebody did something in a big game that you went to and match it up that way is what I was thinking.
Yeah, I know a lot of people do that, and you can actually still get them printed at the Cubs box office. You just got to pay for it.
Okay. So as a season ticket holder, you can get them printed.
Anyone can if you go to the box office.
Can. Okay. So if you buy it, okay, now you're taking me down another hole. So if I bought tickets online,
yes,
or if I bought tickets on the secondary market, could I show that purchase and then still do that?
As long as you have it in your at-bat app, my belief is yes. But I would.
That's pretty cool. That's good info. But
here's the thing I'm going to tell you about this, where you got to be a little bit careful, is that, I would double check. I don't want to tell anyone that, but I know for a fact that people have gotten tickets for games that do have some memories. But now that you brought up memorabilia, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. Right. We've had Lou Sella on this podcast before. Mm-hmm. He's the sculptor that's done all the statues at Wrigley Field. And I called him up. I said, Lou, let's go to a game. He says, all right. So Lou and I went to this game, and he had a gift for me. And I wanted to show our listeners right here. This is to Crawly from Lou Sella. This is from the mold that they did of Ryan Sandberg for the statue.
That is cool.
It is the exact color, everything. And this would be on the hat that you saw on Ryan Sandberg when you see the statue. So I cannot wait to display that.
That's excellent.
Yeah, Lou and I had a great time, man. We had a great time, and it was a good game. We knew Colin Ray wasn't going to continue at a Cy Young pace, right? I mean, eventually he'd have to come back to the earth. This was the first start to me that I felt like he was not on top of his game, but his defense didn't help much either. It felt like, all of a sudden what happened the night before to the Giants happened to the Cubs. It just looked like the defense was bad.
Yeah.
Top of the second, he walks Matt Chapman to lead off an inning. Wilmer Flores pops out, and Lamont Wade Jr. Gets on base to put runners at the corners. Helios Ramos hit a chopper. John Birdie charges. Now, Dustin, this is right in my line of view where my seats are. He didn't have a play at home. Okay. He didn't have a play at home, and he didn't have one at first. There was no play to be made anywhere. He should have just pocketed the ball.
But that's the issue right now, right? He's not pocketing the ball. It's like he's on tilt every time he gets to a ball, which he does basically get to all the balls he's supposed to get to. He just doesn't seem to know what to do with the ball when he gets to the ball.
He looked home. He looked at first, and the second he looked at first, he should have known, hold on to it. He tries to throw it. It's wild. Lamont ends up at third. A sac fly makes the game 2-0. One run was going to score anyway, but that error was on the second run was because of that birdie error. Top of the third, Willie Adames singled. And I said on this podcast, boy, I'd like to see Jung Hoo Lee play just to see what all the hype was about. And boy, he crushed it. He crushed a 2-run homer.
Nice job, Crawly. Blaming you.
He put the Giants up 4-0. Bottom of the third, Miguel Amaya cuts the lead in half with a 2-run blast. Swanson along for the ride on that one, cuts the lead in half. Top of the fourth, Heliot Ramos was all over the place. He singled on a ball that deflected off the glove of Ray. Pat Bailey would single to put runners at the corner, and Brett Wisely would hit a sac bunt to make it 5-2 game. Ray would finish the fifth, but he gave up 5 runs, 4 of them earned on 8 hits, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. Like I said, not his best start.
No.
Now, with 4 innings to try and keep the lead at 2 runs, I was surprised, Dustin, because first off, Counsell goes with Drew Pomeranz. I agreed with that move, but I thought he would go with them for maybe 2 innings. Okay. Then he goes with Brad Keller for 1 inning. I thought Keller could have gone multiple innings. If you're trying to come back here, Dustin, you're going to have some guys that can throw some heat later on. And then he puts in Daniel Palencia. And that's where I think a really big mistake was, in my opinion.
Why is that? Why did you disagree with it?
Because Palencia is a guy that throws in the high 90s up to 100, right? And so he has swing and miss stuff that I think plays better if the game ends up tied. And we'll get to that because the Manford man, once you get there with that runner on second, you have to have a guy that misses bats, right? And I think Palencia is one of those guys that can miss bats. And by burning him there, now you can't use him later.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wanted to hear what you.
Yeah. No. And so Flexen pitched well, each pitching a scoreless innings, but you used 4 pitchers. That takes us to the 9th. PCA led off with a walk. Dansby struck out. Carson Kelly came in. He drew a walk on a pinch hit. He drew a walk. And Justin Turner, this is where I like to see Justin Turner. These type of situations, right?
This is the whole point. This is the point of Justin Turner.
He pinches his for John Birdie. He singles to score PCA, and Kelly moves to third. Ian Happ struck out. The Cubs were down to their final out with the tying run 90 feet away. Bob Melvin decides to put in Eric Miller to face Kyle Tucker, hoping the lefty-lefty matchup doesn't. First pitch, I love it. First pitch, Kyle Tucker singles to tie the game at 5. Wrigley is rocking, and all the momentum is going the Cubs' way, right? Extra innings, Willie Adames is the man for Matt at second, and Craig Counsell goes all in. This is the guy you're going to do it with, Porter Hodge. He's the best reliever you have. He has the best swing and miss stuff, and he's going against the heart of the Giants order. He gets Jung Hoo Lee and Matt Chapman to fly out. He walks Wilmer Flores and gets Lamont Wade to fly out. So the Giants can't score. So now all the Cubs have to do is get a single, and they win the game.
That's it. Just a single.
Just a single, and then they walk it off. Suzuki's the Manford man. Michael Busch walks. Then Nico flied out to right, and Suzuki advances to third for the first out. Now, Dustin, you don't even need a hit. Deep fly ball wins the game.
Yep.
Busch steals second. No force out. No double play, nothing. PCA is up to bat. Now, remember what I said? He reminds me of Javi Baez sometimes? He just needed to make contact, Dustin. He didn't need a home run. He didn't need a double. He just needed to make contact. And
he was trying to set off an earthquake, right?
It just didn't look good. It was literally, again,
it was a bad approach. It was a bad, awful approach.
This is exactly what you would do to Javi Baez, right? Slider, 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 slider. 2 of the sliders, 3 of the 4 sliders weren't even close. And by the time he threw, by the time he threw that 4th slider, Pete was already kind of reaching over, and he completely swung over it. It was the one thing you couldn't do is strike out in that situation. And that's what he did. And that ends up killing you there. And so now it's up to Dansby, who's been hot. He hits one 103 miles per hour off the bat, but unfortunately right at Matt Chapman to end the threat. So now Counsell decides to go with Ryan Presley. Presley had his knee drained on the April 22nd. He didn't pitch again against April 27th. A week later, he pitched 1 inning against the Pirates on May 1st, 4 days earlier. So Dustin, since April 20th, he's only appeared in 2 of the previous 15 days that you saw him out there. Yeah. And so not only is he rusty, right? but he struggled all season.
That's a word. That's a word
again,
for it.
Dustin,
Rusty's one of many adjectives. That's one of many adjectives.
That's about the worst time to put a guy in who hasn't pitched in a while.
Yep.
Because you have no margin for error. You have no margin for error. None.
Zero.
And so now he comes in, and not only is he rusty, Dustin, but he's struggled all season to miss bats, even when he was at his best this season. He hasn't been striking guys out. He's been giving up a lot of contact. And so, needless to say, it didn't go well. Faced 8 hitters, did not record an out. It went double, single, sac fly, bunt, no out recorded, walk, hit by pitch, single, 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 before Craig Counsell finally gave him the hook. Caleb Thielbar comes in and gives up a double and a sac fly. All the runs are charged to Presley. So if you are keeping score at home, the line on that was 9 runs on 5 hits, 1 walk, no Ks. And again, a partridge in a
one
pear
hit,
tree, right?
one hit by pitch.
Yep.
Don't forget that. Here's the good. Only 8 of them were earned. Okay. Only 8. How about this? You want some more? I got more.
Give them to me.
Presley is the only MLB reliever to allow 8+ earned runs in a game, not get an out, and take the loss since earned runs became official in both leagues back in 1913.
And I think it was the most runs ever scored in an extra inning.
It was the Giants' victory was tied for the 5th largest extra inning win in the last 125 seasons.
I mean, it was, I can't tell you what it was like sitting there. It was literally just, again, you went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. But let's ask Mr. Presley what happened. Let's see what Ryan has to say on that one.
I thought I executed my pitches really well. Wasn't really leaving anything over middle part of the plate. I just didn't get my job done. I was the only one tonight that didn't do my job.
How do you digest things after just a night like that?
It's tough. It sucks. But, got to get ready to go tomorrow.
Because of the recent issue with the knee, I think people jump to that. Is everything okay? Is everything all right now with you health-wise?
Yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, it's just body felt great. Just like I said, didn't do my job tonight. Everybody else did.
Now, Dustin, he's not fine. I applaud him for sitting in front of the media and taking it.
I like that I agree. I like that he met the media. He could have easily not, and we would have given him grief. I would have given him grief. I won't speak for you. I would have given him grief for not meeting with the media. So I also have to give him kudos and respect for facing the music, if you will.
He faced the music. There's nothing you could do about that one. But when you talk about him and saying, okay, everything's fine, this is Ryan Presley this season, and you can get this off of Fangraphs and take a look at some of these charts right here. So if you take a look here, everything in the blue is poor compared to Major League Baseball. Everything in the red means great, but not like great, like awesome, but just like high amount, right? In the highest percentile. If you take a look, everything about Ryan Presley is blue, poor, bad. The one area where he's exceeding is ground ball percentage. He's in the top percentile for ground balls. And so what that means, Dustin, is the hitters are making contact. The hitters are making contact. And like I said, that's the worst thing you could have in an extra inning game is guys that give up that percentage of contact. You need swing and miss, and he didn't have it.
Yep. Nope, not even a little bit. And listen, Counsell kind of went after him for it afterwards, right? Counsell said he just didn't do his job. He doesn't have the swing and miss stuff. I mean, Counsell is calling guys out.
Yeah. And, one guy that he called out was the Game 3 starter, Ben Brown, who went up against Robbie Ray.
Well, it worked in Milwaukee, right? But he was also staked to a big lead up there.
Well, Dustin, the thing we talked about, too, is Ben Brown has struggled at Wrigley.
Yep.
He did okay. Wasn't the best performance. Wasn't the worst. Just more of the same frustration.
Yeah, well, my issue is 103 pitches in 5 innings. That was what was rough.
Mm-hmm. Right. And here's the thing, Dustin. A day after they used all the 6 or 7 bullpen arms, and they used a lot the day before, you need him to get some innings. The wind's howling in at 17 miles per hour from left. But it took Ben Brown 28 pitches to get out of the first inning.
Yep.
And so
too much.
You know, right there, he's not going to last. That's it right
you're
there.
Already on tilt. Yep. You're already on tilt.
He had Mike Yastrzemski 1 and 2, the first batter he faced, and then he walked him to lead off the game. He had Willie Adames 1 and 2 and gave up a single. He gets Jung-Hoo Lee to pop out and Matt Chapman to strike out, but then he got Wilmer Flores to a 1-2 count and gave up a single, and the Cubs were down 1-0. He just doesn't, until he gets a suitable third pitch, this is what you're going to see. He's got 2 pitches that he uses frequently, and he really doesn't have a third developed. And
right.
until
he did use another pitch, but it's going to take some time, right?
Right. The changeup is what he has to do. But again, he just couldn't get that third strike. And that's where you get a lot of foul balls. And that's where these guys get these hits that just score. And so he did sit down the next 7 batters, but in the 4th inning, more trouble. Another leadoff walk for Brown, this time to Matt Chapman. Wilmer Flores would single with 1 out. Lamont Wade would double. A run scores. The Cubs are down 2-0 with runners at 2nd and 3rd and only 1 out. Brown struck out Sam Huff, but then gave up a shallow single to center field to Christian Cross. Wilmer Flores easily scores, but Lamont Wade decides to challenge PCA's arm. Bad idea. Pete throws him out at the plate. Initially called safe, but the call was easily overturned. Dustin, I don't think it was the wrong call, especially on a day like that with the wind going crazy and all that stuff. Pete just made the perfect throw. I mean, it was a beautiful throw right into the runner. Just absolutely led the Carson Kelly there. It was perfect. It was awesome. But that saved Ben Brown from the inning continuing and another run from Cross in the plate.
He gave him credit after the game too.
Brown pitched 5 innings, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits, 2 walks, both which came around to score. So both of those leadoff walks come around to score. He did strike out 9 batters. But Dustin, when I'm looking at this right here, I think Craig Counsell, like you said, he's been honest about things, about his evaluations, and he called out not just Brown, but the team, I think just in general about, hey, you cannot sit there and walk guys. And then when you talk about the offense, they did nothing, Dustin. They did nothing. And every time the Cubs had a guy on base, it didn't occur until there was 2 outs. Okay. And so
not an easy way to win. That's for sure.
The Cubs only had 1 run on 4 hits with 3 walks.
Swanson or Nico had 2 of them, right?
Right. Bottom of the 2nd, 2 outs. Nico doubles, but PCA strikes out to end the threat. Bottom of the 3rd, 2 outs. Ian Happ and Kyle Tucker both drew walks. They execute a double steal to advance to 2nd and 3rd, but Seiya Suzuki, who had a horrible series, was called out on strikes.
I have a feeling he's going to be on the cold list later on.
You will be impressed with how cold he is. The Cubs finally got on the board in the 4th. Nico Horner hits a 2-out double. PCA doubled with air quotes just because Heliot Ramos, who was having a hell of a day trying to field balls, completely misplays a ball, and PCA scores. PCA's on 2nd on that. The ball literally was about 25 feet from the dirt. Just silly kind of one of those wind plays. But, the only runner that they had that did not come with 2 outs was in the 9th when Carson Kelly led off with a single, but was immediately wiped out when Justin Turner hit into a double play. And again, why was Justin Turner in that game? I don't want to see him unless it's a pinch hitting opportunity.
Well, if he was going to play, let's get into this because this also ticked me off. I thought he should have played 3rd that game. Honestly, I would have been okay with that. What I'm not okay with is Michael Busch not playing. So you're going to tell me if that game was in Craigtober, which is we're hoping the Cubs get to Craigtober. We know about Craig Timber. We don't know about Craigtober yet. You're going to tell me that Michael Busch is an automatic sit because he's going against the lefty in a playoff game? That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So it shouldn't have happened. They have a day off today. That he didn't need a day off. He didn't need a day off. He needed to face a good lefty in a playoff type game, in a playoff type atmosphere against a guy you could face in the postseason. Instead, Craig lets him sit. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
I'm going to go with, I agree with you and I disagree with you. I agree with you that Michael Busch should have been in that game. I just don't think you can play Turner at 3rd. Nobody's thought about doing that pretty much in the last 4 years. Okay, the guy just, for a whole game, We've already seen how many third base issues we've had. I just don't want to see it. I mean, if you're telling me I pinch hit, he's going to play an inning, maybe two, you might be able to get away with that. A whole game, I don't see it, but I agree that Michael Busch should have been starting that game. He does have to get that experience, especially like you said, for Craig Tober. MVP, Nico Horner here is the only one that hit the ball hard. He had a couple of doubles. The GOATs, Ben Brown again.
Really? Ben Brown's a GOAT? I mean, he did strike out 9.
I just wasn't really impressed. How about the entire offense except for Nico? I mean, that was just bad. I mean, PCA got that double, but it really was just a misplayed ball.
And I'm guessing Gavin Holloway is probably back to Iowa, huh?
That he had another bad game. He had a bad game as well in that one. He had a good one on Friday. I thought he looked, or I mean, on Monday he looked good, but on Wednesday he looked bad. We'll see what happens. I mean, a lot to go on, and again, we are going to have to make room somewhere on the roster pretty soon.
This is season 4, episode 28 of the Fly the W podcast. The Cubs lose some momentum versus the Giants, but there is some news coming. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. You can email us, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us. Some of you are right now on Crawly's Clubhouse on the YouTube page. All right, despite dropping another series at home, Cubs still comfortably in first, but there's a jam up in second.
Yeah, you take a look there. You got the Cubs at 22-15. They are 3 games ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers, who are 1 game above 500 at 19-18. St. Louis and the Reds are both tied at 18-19. Pittsburgh just fired Derek Shelton as they're 12-25.
Yeah, I hope Shelton's got a couple years on that contract. That's really not his fault.
Jesus. I mean, seriously, you're going to blame the manager for that? Come on.
Right. I mean, fire the owner.
Seriously. But I will say, Dustin, the one thing that was exciting, well, not exciting. I don't want to say exciting. I don't want to jump it because, I mean, we did get some news and it was pretty much what we expected as far as Shota is concerned. And that's the fact that he's going to miss 2 starts. One of those starts is going to be against the Mets on Saturday, and the other is going to be against the White Sox on Saturday. But Dustin, the exciting news is that I didn't think this was going to happen. I'm not going to lie with you. I didn't think it was going to happen, but Cade Horton is going to get the start on Saturday. And I had a chance, Dustin, to interview Tommy Birch, beat writer for the iCubs for the Des Moines Register. He's going to tell us more about Cade and what he's seen from Cade Horton. And we will release this video tomorrow on Crawly's Clubhouse on YouTube.
Yeah, Crawly, Birch is a great guy. We had him on Mully and Hall, I believe, earlier in the beginning of this week, late last week, just to give us an idea of a couple of guys. And Cade Horton was one of those guys. And obviously Matt Shaw was somebody else we were talking to him about. All right, so that's kind of the roster moves, right? We've got the Cade Horton coming up. That's the biggest news, right?
Yes, sir. And so obviously, you know, it's going to be exciting because that takes us to the Cubs versus Mets preview.
Oh, these are always good ones, Crawly. These are always good ones.
Right. And again, don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe, and leave those 5-star reviews. Boost us up here. Come on. You can email us at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com, and you're watching this on the YouTube page. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. Get the alerts so that you know when we go on so you don't miss anything. Dustin, after a dismal 22-33 start to the season last year, the Mets turned it around and went 67-40 the rest of the way to finish with 89-73 and clinch a postseason berth on September 30th. I don't know if it was Grimace throwing out the first pitch. I don't know if it was that OMG song, but the Mets absolutely turned it around. They shocked the Brewers in Game 3 of the wild card. Pete Alonso hits a 3-run homer in the 9th off Devin Williams to advance. They stunned their division rivals, the Phillies, 3-1 before their miracle run ended at the hands of the eventual World Series champ Dodgers in 6 games. Now, the Mets did take 4 out of the 7 games they played against the Cubs last year, so they took the season series. What an offseason, though, for the Mets.
You ain't kidding.
I mean, when you talk about, they got the biggest shark out there, right? They got the whale. They got Juan Soto. Mm-hmm. And not only did they get Juan Soto, they got him from the Yankees, which just adds a little bit more salt into the wound, right?
Sure does. Sure does.
And just when you thought, okay, you got Juan Soto, looks like Pete Alonso is going to go elsewhere, They re-sign him. Again, that's Big Daddy Cohen spending the money. That's what you like to see. You know, when you got guys like Bob Nutting blaming Shelton for not being able to field a winner in Pittsburgh, and then you take a look at a guy like Steve Cohen. I mean, that's the difference, man.
That's the difference. You're right about that.
Now, when you take a look at pitching, they re-signed Sean Manaea, and they were hoping that, you know, he would have another good, like he did in the second half of last season. They added Clay Holmes, and we're going to talk about this because it's interesting. You know, they have Jose Siri, Jesse Winker, Frankie Montas, AJ Minter, Ryan Stanek, all sorts of moves to plug any holes to try to make this a World Series team. And Dustin, you know, to me, when I look at this, a lot of these moves have paid off.
They all seem to pay off, right? I mean, this team's in really good form right now.
Yeah, and if we've kind of been doing the power rankings every time we get to a new week, it's pretty much been the Mets Dodgers at 1-2.
Yep.
And you got to wonder, Dustin. I mean, it's early to say, but for me, when I think whoever wins the NLCS is going to win the World Series unless they beat the crap out of each other. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah, makes sense. Yep.
But the Mets are currently in first place in the NL East with a record of 24-14. That's the second best in all baseball, right behind the Dodgers. Mets came out of the gate smoking with a record of 21-10 in March and April, with a record of 13-2 at home and 8-8 on the road. They just took 2 of 3 from the D-backs in their last series in Arizona. They're 5-5 in their last 10, so they've slowed down a little bit, but they're still 13-3 at home and 11-11 on the road, Dustin.
And these games are at their home field.
Correct. And they do have a 14-8 record against teams with a record over 500, which the Cubs are. So you combine that home record along with their record against good teams, the Mets are for real. This is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, this will not be just a walk in the park, pun intended. Hopefully it will, but it's not going to be easy. All right, time for the tail of the tape, Crawly. Tail of the tape.
All right, when we talk about batting average, the Cubs took a little tumble. They're down from first to fifth place with a 258 average. The Mets are in 10th, so the Cubs have the advantage. Mets hit 249 as a team. Slug, the Cubs are still in third at 446. The Mets slug pretty well. They're in 7th at 420, but the edge still goes to the Cubs. Here's the big difference right now, Dustin. The Cubs in runners in scoring position are still hitting 288, second in all of baseball, but the Mets are 228, which is 26th in baseball. So they are not hitting with runners in scoring position. The way they're scoring their runs is through the slug. You saw Juan Soto had 2 home runs on Wednesday. That would be yesterday. So look out. This team can slug it. Starting pitching goes to the Mets. They have the best starting pitching ERA in baseball at 271, while the Cubs are 8th at 357. The Mets can also, Dustin, when I watched that bullpen from San Francisco, I was just so jealous at how good they were. The Mets are nowhere near as good as that. Now they're in the top 10. They're 9th with a 119 whip, but the Cubs are 24th with a 141 whip. So, in that, the Mets have the advantage in both those pitching stats. As far as the fielding is concerned, the Cubs are first in baseball at defensive run saves with 21. The Mets are 8th with 5. So very close there. But, you have some of the best pitching versus some of the best hitting. So we're going to have to see what happens here.
Something's got to give, as they like to say. All right, game number 1. This is a Friday night affair, 6:10 first pitch. Jameson Taillon, Clay Holmes.
Taillon, 2-1 with a 3.86 ERA and 7 games started with 31 strikeouts in 39 2/3 innings pitch. J-Mo has had a quality start in 2 of the last 3 games. He gave up 1 run in 5 innings against the D-backs. That wasn't a quality start. 1 run in 7 innings against the Phillies and 2 runs in 6 innings against the Brewers. Jameson is 4-0 in his career against the Mets in 6 starts with a minuscule 1.96 ERA, Dustin. I don't know if you remember when we first got Jameson Taillon a couple of years ago. It was 2023, and he really struggled until he went to the Mets, and that turned his season around, that second half of his season. As the record indicates, the Mets struggle against J-Mo. Francisco Lindor, 2 for 13. Juan Soto, 1 for 11. Tyrone Taylor, 1 for 10. Pete Alonso, 2 for 9. So JMO matches up good against the Mets, but let's see. I mean, this is a really good team.
Yeah,
Now,
they are listen, this is a good one. Crawly, I know we're going to get to our predictions in a little bit, but this is the one, right? I think this is the one for a couple of different reasons. First of all, the Cubs need a stopper, right? And Shota Imanaga had been that stopper. He's not walking through that door. He's not taking the ball this weekend. Might not be taking the ball for 2 or 3 more starts. But this is an opportunity for Jameson to really kind of, plant his flag, if you will, as the leader of this Cubs pitching staff.
Yeah, you hope it happens. Now, they're going to be facing off against Clay Holmes. He's a 32-year-old righty, Dustin, who has pitched almost exclusively out of the pen for the last 7 seasons. He's only made previous to this season, he had only made 4 starts in 314 games. Okay, and that was when he was a rookie. But the Mets said, we think this guy could be a good starter. And that's what they paid him. They paid him to start. And right now, Holmes is 4-1 with a 2.95 ERA in 7 starts with 39 strikeouts and 36 2/3 innings. In the last 3 starts, Holmes faced St. Louis twice, one of the best hitting teams in baseball, and had no problem with their lineup. On 420, he gave up 1 run in 6 innings against the Cardinals. On 426 against the Nationals, he pitched 5 scoreless innings. And in his last start against St. Louis, he gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. Holmes is 1-0 lifetime with a 3.60 ERA in his career against the Cubs in 17 games, but all those appearances were out of the bullpen. Most of the Cubs have less than 5 at-bats against Holmes. Ian Happ is 1 at 6. Justin Turner 3 for 7. Holmes uses a mixer with a sinker, a changeup, a sweeper, a slider, and a cutter. So he's got a lot of pitches. He gets a lot of ground ball outs. Game 2, Dustin, is going to be 6:15.
I was hoping for like a late afternoon game for some reason. Nope.
This one is listed as TBD, but we now know that Cade Horton will be taking the start.
We know it is, yeah.
If you look at Cade's numbers in AAA Iowa, he's 2-1 with a 1.24 ERA in 6 games. He's with 33 strikeouts and 29 innings pitched. The question is going to be pitch count, Dustin. That's going to be the question. Last time out, I believe he had 79 pitches thrown. And so let's see what he does. But Cade throws a fastball that can hit in the upper 90s, 97, 98. His slider is a wipeout pitch. He has a curveball and a changeup. Now, Cade was shut down last season on May 29th with a grade 2 shoulder strain. And so, again, how much are they going to push him is what's going to be the question. Is there a pitch count where he hits it and he's done? One of those type situations. But none of the Mets have seen him, and none of the Cub fans have seen him in a Cubs uniform. So here we go. Tyler McGill.
I'm really looking forward to it.
To me, yeah, this is going to be must-see TV. It really, truly is. Tyler McGill is a 6'7", 230-pound righty who is 3-2 with a 2.50 ERA and 7 games started with 45 strikeouts in 36 innings pitched. But he struggled in his last 2 outings. On 421, he gave up 1 run in 5 1/3 inning against the Phillies. But on 421, he gave up 3 runs in 6 1/3 innings against the Nationals. And in his last start, he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings against St. Louis. Miguel's 0-2 with a whopping 13.50 ERA against the Cubs in his 2 career starts against the Northsiders, giving up 12 runs in 6 2/3 innings pitch. But the only Cubs that have more than 5 at-bats against McGill is Dansby Swanson, who's 3 for 12. Now, he's a strikeout pitcher. He gets a lot of strikeouts. He's got a fastball that averages 95 miles an hour, a slider, a sinker, and an occasional changeup. To me, Dustin, these are going to be 2 hard-throwing guys, and that's what's going to make it fun to watch.
Yeah, as you said, can't miss TV. I am also really looking forward to this.
Now, in Game 3, we got Matt Boyd versus Griffin Canning at 11:05. Matt Boyd is 3-2 with the 270.
Can you repeat that? 11:05 first pitch. So they're making these guys play at night. They're making these guys play at night and then making them play at 11 a.m. That seems not right.
Well, it's 12:05 over there, 11:05 for us.
Well, that makes it so much better, Crawly. Why didn't you say
it's
that
one of those getaway
place?
days, right? It's one of those getaway days. It's not that dissimilar from
nothing
120
to do
start,
with
right?
getaway. This is all TV and the almighty dollar. This game's starting 3 hours earlier than it should.
Well,
3 hours.
Let's see how
it's going to be on Roku. It's going to be on Roku. Girardi's doing the game. They got like a mixed broadcast. It's Girardi, a New York guy, Cohen, and Taylor McGregor.
Huh. All right, we'll give it a try, right? Matt Boyd is 3-2 with the 2.75 ERA in 7 games started, 37 strikeouts and 39 in a third innings pitch. Against the Dodgers on 423, he gave up 3 runs in 6 innings, all off that home run by that weasel Tommy Edman. On 430, he gave up 2 runs in 5 innings against Pittsburgh, which was kind of a blast start for him. And on Monday night against the Giants, he gave up 2 runs, 6 innings of work, quality start. Boyd is 1-0 lifetime against the Mets with a 5.40 ERA in 1 start. Most of the Mets have not seen Boyd. Starling Marte is 1 for 7, but look out for Francisco Lindor, who is 12 for 33 with 3 doubles and 2 home runs against Boyd. Dustin, you know how they say wins and loss records for pitchers don't matter? Well, that's definitely the case for Griffin Canning. He's been with the Angels for 5 seasons playing for that crap franchise. And now that he's actually pitching for a good team, the results are showing. He's 5-1 in 7 games started with a 2.50 ERA and 37 strikeouts and 36 innings pitched. In his last 7 starts, he has given up either 1 run or no runs. That is super impressive. In 5 out of those 7 starts. So 5 out of those 7 starts, 1 or less run. On 422, he gave up 1 run in 5 innings against the Phillies. On 428, he gave 5 scoreless innings against the Nationals. And in his last start against the D-backs, he gave up 1 run in 5 innings. Canning's only faced the Cubs once in his career, giving up 4 runs in 4 1/3 innings. Most of the Cubs do not have more than 5 at-bats against him. Nicky Lopez is 2 for 11, and Kyle Tucker's 5 for 14. Canning's another one of those ground ball guys. He mixes a slider, a 4-seamer, and a changeup. So a lot of interesting matchups here this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You know, I might even go so far as to call this a statement series for our baseball team. All right, Crawly, let's get into the hot and the not. I already told you the not. Don't waste my time. Seiya Suzuki, not hot.
Well, Dansby Swanson's 8 for his last 21 with the home run, 3 RBIs. He's slashing 381, 435, 619. Keep taking that swig of Red Bull, young man. Kyle Tucker, 7 for his last 22 with the home run, 3 RBIs, slashing 318, 444, and 455 slug. And again, Carson Kelly, 5 for his last 16. Dustin, he has a home run and 2 RBIs, but the thing about Carson Kelly, he's also getting on base all the time. He's slashing 313. He's on base is 421, and his slug is 563. I told you how bad is Seiya Suzuki. He has 2 hits in his last 27 at-bats with 10 strikeouts, no walks. He's slashing 074, 074, 074. Michael Busch, 1 for his last 17 with the home run, 4 RBIs. He's slashing .059, but at least he has a little bit of on base and a little bit of slug. So that's where the Cubs are. As far as the Mets are concerned, look out for Francisco Alvarez, their catcher, 7 for 14 with 4 RBIs, slashing 500, 563, 500. Tyrone Taylor, 6 for his last 14, slashing 429, 529, 714. As far as the not, you got Brandon Nimmo is 5 for his last 22, but he does have a home run and 2 RBIs, slashing 227, 37, 455. And Jeff McNeil, their second baseman's 2 for his last 16, slashing 125, 176, 250. In case you were wondering, Juan Soto is heating up, though. He's 7 for his last 23, 2 home runs in the last game, 3 RBIs, slashing 304, 415, 652. But if he starts getting really hot, look out.
Look out. Look out. All right. Is it prediction time, Crawly?
It is prediction time.
I'll go first this time. The Cubs are not going to get swept. They're not going to get swept. I kind of like them in the first game, and I kind of like them in the second game. I'm going to say they take the series. For some reason, I think that today's day off is going to do them well, and I think they're going to take this series, Crawly.
I am going to be less enthusiastic after I just predicted a sweep. I'm going to say the Cubs take the first game, the JMO start. I think he's going to dominate that one against Clay Holmes. These are interesting. I mean, game 2 with Cade Horton, who knows? And then game 3, Boyd versus Canning. I think that's going to be another close one too. The only reason I'm saying the Mets 2-1 is because they got the home field advantage. And that's what I'm going to go with on that one. I think this is one of those situations that what I want to see is the Cubs play good baseball, right? You may lose the series. I don't want to see errors. I don't want to see, a guy getting pulled in the 4th inning. I don't want to see a bullpen blow up. I just want to see him be competitive against one of the best in the league.
Yep. I mean, be competitive. I think they can be more than that. I've got a little bit higher of an outlook than Crawly does. I'm hoping, I think we're in agreement, obviously, that we've got them winning on the first game. And, obviously we'll keep our fingers crossed to see what the kid, Cade Horton, looks like. All right, Crawly, that's a wrap on this one. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Any questions? Hey, we got answers. Email us, crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com, crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. And you can watch us, that's right, by subscribing to the Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube channel. Thank you to those that are watching right now. I'm sure Crawly's got a couple of special shout-outs in mind.
I do want to thank, again, Lucella for this gift right here. Absolutely phenomenal. I want to thank everybody that is watching on us. And you know what? Cade Horton Day is here. It's coming, Cub fans. You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Let's do it in New York. Go Cubs!
It's all over.